welcome to episode 15 of the Mr. Douglass Sports Show. I am your host, Corey Douglas. As you can see, I don't have a special guest on this episode, but the NFL is back. We are officially in an NFL game week, week 1. The NFL kicks off tomorrow night in Kansas City with the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs versus the Houston Texans. And a lot has been made of, will season happen? I know I was one that was skeptical on how they're going to do this. But I gotta say, the NFL's done a pretty damn good job of what they've done to make sure the players are staying safe and to make sure this season does get kicked off tomorrow night. And just to go to show how great of a job the NFL is doing, out of the 44,000 tests that came back over this past week and a half or so, only one came back positive. So I think a lot of the rules that are in place as far as players not being able to go out to eat and just having to bunker down in a, quote, bubble, an unofficial bubble, because you're not seeing anything like you've seen in hockey or the NBA. But like I said, the NFL is doing a great job and has put us in a position to get the games going tomorrow night. I know I'm personally excited. The Cowboys, I think they have a lot to look forward to. We finally got Jason Garrett out of there. We actually have a real head coach that is in today's era as far as making adjustments and not being as predictable as the Cowboys have been in previous years. So on this episode, I'm going to take you through my division predictions for each division in the league, and then I'm going to make week 1 predictions for this weekend's games. We have a full slate. Like I said, it gets started tomorrow night. We got games Sunday, 2 games Monday night. So let's go ahead and get started with my division winners for each division. Let's just start with the AFC East. Obviously, the 2019 winner was the New England Patriots. With Tom Brady's gone, Cam Newton's in. I'm interested to see how that's going to look. Obviously, the Patriots were bitten by a lot of opt-outs. They had 6 or 7 starters, including Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung. They both opted out. Vital starters on that Patriots defense. And there's not a whole lot of weapons that you have outside of Julian Edelman on offense. They released Mohamed Sanu last week. But I am going to say the New England Patriots will repeat as AFC East division winners this year in 2020. I think Cam Newton has enough left in the tank as long as he's healthy to get this team over the hump. Sorry, Buffalo. I don't think y'all are ready yet. So yeah, let's just go ahead and move to the AFC North. Obviously, the Baltimore Ravens won the division in 2019. Lamar Jackson MVP. I don't see any reason why they don't repeat as AFC North champions in 2020. So I have the Baltimore Ravens repeating as division champs. The AFC South. This is interesting. The Texans won the division last year. Bill O'Brien traded DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona for some odd reason. And you're leaving Deshaun Watson. You're putting a lot on his plate. Now, he did just sign his 4-year, $160 million deal this past weekend. And I think that there's going to be a lot on his plate this year. And I am going to say they do not repeat as division champions in 2020. I think the Indianapolis Colts will win that division. I think they've overtaken the Cowboys and a couple of the other offensive lines as the best offensive lines in the league. T.Y. Hilton, obviously his health is a big question mark. But I do think the Colts have enough on offense and defense with the addition of DeForest Buckner to come out of that division as division champions. And moving on to the AFC West. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are there. They're still there. Super Bowl champs. Mahomes got his $500 million contract. I think they repeat in 2020 as division champions. So one big change the NFL has this year is there's going to be 3 wildcard teams. So let me just break this down for you. I have Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the return of Big Ben, taking over and getting that wild card spot, that first wild card spot in the AFC. I have Buffalo. Like I said, they're not going to win the division, but they will make the playoffs as a wild card. And then my last wild card for the AFC came down between the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, the Tennessee Titans went on that magical run last year with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry leading the way. And I think they get back to the playoffs this year, leaving the Houston Texans out of the playoffs. I just don't think the Houston Texans have enough, and I think they're relying on a lot of guys that are hurt. Like they replaced DeAndre Hopkins with Brandon Cooks, Randall Cobb, Will Fuller, All three guys have serious injury concerns, and I don't think Deshaun Watson will be able to get his team over the hump this year to make the playoffs. All right, so let's go ahead and kick it over to the NFC real quick. I'm going to run through these as well. Starting with the NFC North, Green Bay won the division in 2019, and I do not see them repeating in 2020. I think the Minnesota Vikings will overtake that division. Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. And I think if you look back at the season that the Green Bay had going 13-3 last year, I think a lot of it is set up just perfectly for regression. I think Aaron Jones, he had 19 touchdowns in 2019. I think we'll see that come down to 14, 15. I think the defense is going to regress too. I think when you look at what they did on defense last year, playing a lot of close games, turnovers, sacks, I think we'll see some regression there as well. And I think that regression is enough for Minnesota to come out on top in the NFC North in 2020. Let's go ahead and take it down south to the NFC South. And I think this is one of the most intriguing divisions in football. You have the New Orleans Saints, the defending champions in the NFC South. You have the new look Tampa Bay Bucks with Tom Brady, Gronk, with weapons staying over like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Leonard Fournette just signed there within the last couple of weeks. You have the Atlanta Falcons, who came on strong, winning their last 4 in 2019. And then you have the Carolina Panthers, who are rebuilding, but they have one of the most exciting players in the league with Christian McCaffrey. So with this division, I got to give it to the Saints. I think they are one of the favorites to come out of the NFC completely. I'll get to that a little bit later, but I think they will kind of hold off the Tampa Bay Bucks as the division winner. And let's take it over to I'm going to take it over to the NFC West. Obviously, you have the defending NFC champion, San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams. You have the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals, who added DeAndre Hopkins, as I mentioned earlier. Don't know why Houston got rid of him, but I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this division. There's been a lot of talk out of Seattle about letting Russ cook. I think you see far too often in previous years, the Seattle Seahawks, they run. And then in the fourth quarter, they put it on Russell Wilson's back. And because Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback in this league, more times than not, he'll be able to overcome the shortcomings maybe you have on the coaching staff, or he'll be able to pull out a close game late. So I think with the new kind of philosophy that they are hinting at, that they're going to in 2020, I think Seattle takes that division. And last but not least, let's bring it to the NFC East. You have the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, and the Washington football team. So obviously, just right off the rip, this is a two-team division, a two-team race. I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this division in 2020. I think with the addition of the coaching staff with Mike McCarthy over Jason Garrett, it's night and day almost. So I definitely have the Cowboys winning this division. That's not a homer pick. That's just being real. So let's go over to the NFC wildcard teams. I mentioned the new look Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to make the playoffs this year. I don't think they win the division, but they will make the playoffs as a wild card. Green Bay Packers. I have them as the second wild card team in the NFC. And last on my playoff teams in the NFC, I actually have the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I'm not completely sold on the Los Angeles Rams as a playoff team. I think this can go a multitude of ways. I could see Atlanta being improved and getting in there. I could see the Philadelphia Eagles getting in there. But I am going to go with the Rams. I'm going to go with McVay. I believe in him. And I think he's going to kind of get back to his ways that he had 2 years ago when they went on their Super Bowl run. Came up just short against the Patriots. And for the playoffs, like I said, I mentioned the 7 teams I have there. I have, for the AFC Championship, I actually have the Chiefs versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, I think, came on defensively. They were still right around the playoff hunt in 2019, even without Big Ben. With Big Ben hopefully staying healthy for the Steelers fans, I think they have enough to get to the AFC Championship game. That big addition of Minkah Fitzpatrick last season was huge for them. And, of course, they got TJ Watt. Should have been a Cowboy, but the Cowboys took Taco Charlton. Well, we won't go too far into that. But I had the Steelers getting to the AFC Championship game. And over to the NFC, I mentioned the Saints earlier. Their favorites to come out of the NFC. And I actually have them beating the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC title game to advance to the Super Bowl to take the field against the Kansas City Chiefs. As bad as I wanted to go the Cowboys here, I just couldn't do it. I mean, like, all the additions are fantastic. I love them, but it's just hard to pick this team. 25 years of just being let down. I just can't do it. So I have the Saints and Seahawks in the NFC title game, and I have the Chiefs and Saints in the Super Bowl, and I have the Chiefs repeating. I know that's probably like the easy way out or whatever you might want to see it, but just the way they're building their team, their structure is there. I mean, you re-sign Mahomes, you get Chris Jones done, you get Travis Kelce done, you re-sign the GM, you re-sign Andy Reid. It's just they have something there and it's special. So I definitely think the Chiefs have what it takes to repeat. It would be the first repeat champion since the New England Patriots did it. So yeah, that concludes my predictions, my division winners, my Super Bowl pick. So let's go ahead and dive right into week 1 picks. All right, so now that I got the season-long predictions out the way, let's go ahead and transition into a deep dive into week 1 with my week 1 predictions. So as I've mentioned several times by this point, the season gets kicked off tomorrow night in Kansas City. The Houston Texans versus Kansas City. I have Kansas City winning that one. I think Mahomes is going to have a big night. And can we just talk about Patrick Mahomes' 2020 real quick? You start off winning the Super Bowl. You get a $500 million contract. You become part owner of the Kansas City Royals. You get engaged. I mean, this 2020 is all right for Mr. Mahomes so far. So yeah, the Chiefs winning there. Going to Sunday's game starting at 12 o'clock. I have the Seattle Seahawks going to Atlanta and getting a win there. Like I said, they're going to let Russ cook this year. I have the Bills beating the Jets. I have the Lions at home beating the Bears. I have the Vikings at home beating the Packers. I have the Patriots at home defeating the much improved Dolphins. Keep an eye out on them. I do think the Miami Dolphins do have a chance to sneak in the playoffs as a wild card this year. So keep your eye out on that. I have the Philadelphia Eagles going to Washington and beating the Washington football team. I have the rebuilding Carolina Panthers taking it to the Las Vegas Raiders with a win there. I have the Indianapolis Colts, my AFC South Division winner there, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have the Colts winning that one. I have the Baltimore Ravens beating what are going to be a much improved Cleveland Browns team. I think a lot of the hype is kind of over now, and I think they can just settle in and play football in Cleveland this year. But that's not going to help them taking on the Baltimore Ravens in week 1. I have Baltimore winning that game. I have the Los Angeles Chargers beating the Cincinnati Bengals in Joe Burrow's NFL debut on Sunday afternoon. And I think what's the game of the week, with the Tampa Bay Bucks versus New Orleans Saints, I have the New Orleans Saints beating the Tampa Bay Bucks. That's going to be a fun one. Like I said, I think that's the game of the week. And the last 325 game of the week, I have the San Francisco 49ers beating the Arizona Cardinals and DeAndre Hopkins, Arizona Cardinals team debut. And then the Sunday night game, the Dallas Cowboys will head to Los Angeles to take on the Los Angeles Rams. And I have the Cowboys getting off to a good start again, starting out 1-0 against the Rams. I think Dak Prescott's on his way to a 5,000-yard season. And I think that he is going to cash in with a major payday after this MVP-type season. Because I do think the Cowboys, as I mentioned earlier, they will win the division. Dak Prescott will throw for 5,000 yards. And CeeDee Lamb will be the Cowboys' leading receiver. Keep an eye on that. And I do want to mention something just real quick, something that I have going that I'm going to try to get kicked off next week. Just a real deep dive into Cowboys football for the season with Corey's Cowboys Corner. So just keep an eye out on that. I do have that in the works, and I'm planning to start that after week 1 on Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcast from. So keep an eye out on that. But to continue with the predictions, let's go ahead and move over to the 2 Monday night games. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to New York to take on the Giants. I have the Steelers getting a big road win there. And then as the nightcap, 9-10. By the way, I love these two doubleheader on Monday nights. I think they should go through that permanently, if you ask me. But that's just me. I love football, and I like having my Monday nights occupied with NFL football. But the Tennessee Titans will take on the Denver Broncos at 9-10 on Monday night. And I have the Tennessee Titans going on the road and coming away with a big win in Denver. So, yeah, those are my Week 1 picks. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of the Mr. Douglass Sports Show. This is going to be a weekly occurrence. I'm going to put out my weekly picks every week for the NFL slate. I'm going to release them on Wednesday morning, so make sure you keep it locked. Make sure you subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. But until next time, this has been the Mr. Douglass Sports Show. Salute.